Fortnite has had some pretty terrible seasons, but it's also had some really good ones too. That's right everybody, in this video we're going to be talking about the best seasons in Fortnite history, what they added to the game, why they're so praised, and what I think of them as a whole. Now, I do know this video is going to end up being a super controversial one, just like my worst seasons video, which you should totally check out after this one. So if you do end up enjoying the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with the notification bell on. We're closer than ever to reaching 1,000 subscribers, so any help would be greatly appreciated. But now we've got all that out of the way, without any further ado, let's just dive straight into the video. And starting off this list, we are just going to get the most obvious pick out of the way first, with, of course, Chapter 2 Season 2. Yeah, guys, I mean, what more can be said about this season that hasn't been said already? It's been the highest rated season on Fortnite.gg for years now, and that's for a reason. Seriously, guys, Top Secret was absolutely phenomenal, and I think a huge part of that is the fact that it was kind of like the peak of the classic Fortnite weapon playstyle. You know, you just had your basic assault rifles, you had your SMGs, the pump shotgun. It was simple, but it was good. And I think past this point, the weapons in this game start to get way more experimental and way more chaotic. I don't know, it just hasn't felt the same since this season. I mean, you also had all the stuff it introduced, of course with the biggest feature being the bosses and the AI. That literally changed the game forever. Fortnite would not be where it is right now if it wasn't for this single edition. Seriously, the bosses completely revolutionized how the game is played, and to this day, the core gameplay loop is still based around landing at a location and trying to take down a boss. And of course, with the addition of these bosses, we have, you know, mythics as we know them today. Seriously, this was such a huge addition. Like, we'd seen mythics before. We had the Infinity Gauntlet and maybe the Batfangs, if they even count. But the way they were handled would change completely with this season, and it would eventually end up snowballing into things as huge as literally controlling a Megazord or the Armor of Doom. Both of those can have their DNA traced back to something like Midas's Drum Gun or Sky's Assault Rifle. Seriously, guys, if you didn't have a chance to play this season when it was live, you would have had no idea how revolutionary this whole thing was. Everything about the gameplay was absolutely fantastic, and the locations were great too. I mean, come on guys, the original agency was one of the best hotspots the game has ever seen. It rivals Tilted Towers and Shifty Shafts and Paradise Palms. It's genuinely one of the best locations the game has ever had. And of course, as well as the agency, you also had the Shark and the Grotto, which honestly, I love both of these locations as well. I can't wait to drop at them again later this year with OG Chapter 2. Like, both of these locations were super unique. I mean, I loved how the Grotto felt with it being in a cave. You know, we've only really ever got 2 locations like that. And also the Shark was super cool as well because, you know, being on a tiny island, it meant that basically every single time you left the location, you'd get caught up in a boat fight because that was the only way you could leave. It was just fun, man. And the fact that all of these locations changed, like completely changed, depending on how many players chose either Ghost or Shadow for the respective bosses at those locations, was a super cool addition. And all of this is even without mentioning the device event at the end of this season, which, it's not the best anymore, guys. I'm sorry. I can't glaze this event anymore. I mean, we've just had so many better events. At the time, it was definitely one of the best we've ever had, but that was only because we had, at most, 6 good ones. Yeah, guys, I'm sorry about slandering it, but it is definitely the weakest part of the season. But even then, that kind of stands on its own as a testament to just how good it actually was. You know, the weakest part of a season is a contender for, like, a top 10 live event of all time. I mean, come on, guys. It's pretty easy to see why this season is as praised by the community as it is. It's literally one of the most influential Fortnite seasons of all time. It's one of the best we've ever had. The vibes were phenomenal, the gameplay was phenomenal, the map was amazing, and it more than deserves to be first up on this list. And also, just quickly, if you think a season should be on this list, but it didn't quite make it into the video, make sure to leave a comment down below and let me know which one you chose and why. I'd love to see what you guys think. Following that one up is my personal favorite season of all time. Seriously, I can't think of a season I had more fun playing. And of course, it is Chapter 3, Season 1, Flipped. Oh my god. Oh my god, it was just fantastic. It had one of the best maps ever. It definitely felt like the last great and classic Fortnite map. Like, seriously guys, let me just list off a few of the points of interest this thing had. I mean, you had Sleepy Sound, Sanctuary, Logjam Lumberyards, Camp Cuddle, Shifty Shafts, Tilted Towers. Dude, seriously, I don't understand how anybody could have hated this map. Even looking at the transition from Chapter 2 to this map was flawless and is maybe the best introduction to a new season we've ever gotten. And of course, even though the map was absolutely phenomenal, I could literally gush about that thing for hours. the gameplay of the season was just as good too. And although it did have its flaws, it still felt really good, even past the obvious issue of the spray meta. Like, yeah guys, I gotta admit, teaming up the prime Stinger SMG and the MK7 was a devilish combo. And the fact that Epic Games just let it exist as it was a testament to how insane this period of time was for the game. Anything went. But even then, not even a new spray meta was enough to ruin how this season felt. Like the Spider-Man web shooters, you know, you gotta talk about them if you're talking about this season, were a generational movement item. They've literally only ever been matched by one other item, which we will be talking about later in this video, but if you know, you know. Seriously, they were phenomenal. They were perfect for getting away from fights. They were perfect for third partying. They felt amazing just swinging around the map. And I think it's such a shame that these items have never come back again and likely never will. Because I'm sorry, but the replacement they gave to the game, you know, with the grapple glove, it just didn't hit the same. I don't know what they did to it. It just feels way worse than that thing ever did. And of course, to top everything else off, you had the last truly goated Winterfest. I'm sorry, but nothing has felt as good as this since. Maybe one, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But this Winterfest was genuinely such a cozy time. I still remember being cuddled up in a blanket waiting to open my final present late on Christmas Eve. I don't know what else to say. I've been yammering about this for way too long, but I just love this season, man. It is absolutely phenomenal. I could make an entire video on the topic. Seriously, this is one of the best seasons in Fortnite history, and even though it's almost 4 years old as of speaking, it still hasn't moved from the #1 spot in my personal ranking. It's just that good. But following that one up is the most recent season on this list, and I'm not going to talk about it for long because I just made a huge video talking about this season in particular. And of course, it is Chapter 7 Season 2, Showdown. Every single part of this season was fantastic. It might genuinely be an all-timer. Like, the loot pool had some crazy unique items, and some of my favorite exotics of all time, you know, with the exotic cube rifle, which... again, I'm going to be saying this for a lot of things on this list, but it was genuinely one of my favorite exotics of all time. And it also brought some equally great mechanics. Like, the whole rivalry system was actually super fun, and with the whole axe system that it brought alongside it, it also brought a huge incentive to hop on and play the game every single day, and it kept me coming back time and time again. It was super addictive. I've always adored the bounty board system, and to see it be so involved in the core of a season felt nothing short of genius. I always felt that system was meant for something much larger than itself, and this season realized it perfectly. I really can't stress how much there was to do in this season. Like, the content kept flowing, and we were just getting whole life points of interest added or changed every single week. Entirely unique items were being added to the game for the first time ever, just on a random Tuesday. It was incredible, and even though it did fall off a little bit towards the end, you know, the Overwatch collab was definitely the weakest part of the season by far, it was still really fun, and I was grinding this season until its 11th hour. And to top everything else off, it ended with one of the best live events in recent times, with Shattered. Honestly, this event blew me away with how great it actually felt. And to see the efforts that you made throughout the season, you know, grinding rivalries, getting points for your team, actually have an effect on the outcome of the story felt so satisfying, and it made the entire season feel worthwhile. And to be fair, that's the best way you could go about describing this season. I have never felt so connected to how the game actually played out before in my life. Every single action I took felt worthwhile, the whole team system kept me hooked on the game, it was super fun pretending to hate on the other half of the community, and every time you ended up reaching a goal before the other team, it felt like a mini victory. Man, I don't know, I just wish we got the white foundation style. That outfit was clean. But following that one up, we are going to move on to the next season on this list. We have one that you were either waiting for the entire video, or you're entirely surprised to see it up here, being Chapter 1 Season 8, X Marks the Spot. In my opinion, this was the best season of Chapter 1, and it always will be. I mean, the map was at its peak. That is undeniable. This is the best version of the Chapter 1 map, specifically the version before the Loot Lake Vault got dug up. Like, the volcano was super fun, both in terms of movement and gameplay. The ice biome was still in its prime, you know, with Season 9 completely destroying Polar Peak. Like I said, Loot Lake was still in its best version from Season 6, and you had a little cherry on the top with, of course, Lazy Lagoon, one of my favorite locations of all time. All of these locations made for such an incredible experience, like especially with how the game would play around them. I still have fond memories of the original Season 8 where the storm circle would start to form around the volcano and you had to like build on the side and fight your way up while people were shooting down at you. It was just designed from the ground up to be fun. It's a shame that Epic Games doesn't really make these sorts of POIs anymore because of Zero Build, because this was genuinely the best part of the season. Also, talking about the gameplay, you did have the cannons, which were the movement of the season, and I wholeheartedly believe that these were the peaks of Fortnite vehicles. They weren't too overpowered, but they could only ever be in a game like Fortnite, and they were actually pretty good by themselves. Now, of course, the loot pool itself, you know, it was just as good. It's a Chapter 1 loot pool. What are you going to do? It was basically the same all throughout the first 2 years of the game's history before it got shaken up in Season X. But at the same time, you know, being a classic loot pool, it was really, really good. And of course, it ended with another banger live event with the unvaulting. This is easily one of the most interesting live events in Fortnite history. Nothing like it had ever been done before, and nothing like it had ever been done since. Allowing players to choose the loot pool for the next season was an amazing choice. Unless they're modern day players. I am still not over you guys choosing the mid-Infinity Blade instead of the TAC SMG or drum gun. Like when I saw the classic Infinity Blade leave the vault, I just stared at my screen like blankly for another 20 seconds. But getting back to what I was saying, this has got to be one of my favorite late Chapter 1 seasons. And even though I will say that I think Season 7 was the last classic feeling Fortnite season, what followed it up was still really good, and it definitely helped with being a smooth transition to how later seasons in that chapter would feel, and eventually how Chapter 2 would feel. And you know what, we are going to quickly cap off this list with potentially one of my favorite seasons of all time, being, of course, Chapter 6 Season 1. Seriously, this season brought a top 3 Fortnite map of all time to the game. This map was so gorgeous. I love just walking about it, and I love looking at the sky, and I love seeing the tiny details in the locations. There has never been a Fortnite map more detailed than this one since this season. It was so full of soul, and it had such a strong identity. The whole Japan theme just made this island feel really cohesive. Nothing really felt out of place. In terms of map design, it was literally the peak of the chapter. You also had a really solid loot pool, and even though I wouldn't say it's mind-blowing, you know, I do think the Sentinel Pump Shotgun is easily the most forgettable shotgun in Fortnite history. It still felt amazing, and I think that was entirely because of one reason, being that this season brought back Hit Scan. Honestly, I think that is such a big reason as to why I love this season so much. I am so glad that Hit Scan came back. I did not like the projectile bullet system at all, and even though it did end up leading to absolute monsters like the Holo Twister Assault Rifle, it was still the right decision to make, and I'm so glad they made it. Of course, you do also have a couple of movement items which were really fun. I mean, of course, you had the Typhoon Blade, which was, it's got to be one of the strongest movement items we've ever had. This thing combined the strength of the Nitro Fist, you know, doing like 90 damage, doing like 70 damage, with the movement speed of something like the Kinetic Blade or the Kneecapper. It was broken as hell. It just kind of speaks for itself. You also had the Void Oni Mask, which was super fun. It was incredibly unique. Nothing else like it was done at the time, and it made for so many interesting plays. You know, like maybe you put a portal in your base and then you go rush somebody, and when you get close to dying, you teleport back. Or maybe you throw it over someone's head and use it to sneak behind them without them hearing you. And of course, if you are talking about this season, you do have to quickly mention the Godzilla transformation that was in this season. Now, despite being the first of its kind, this first attempt felt like a proper balance between how overpowered the Armor of Doom was and still actually managing to feel powerful and like an actual mythic item. I mean, a big issue with the Armor of Doom was the fact that if you came across it, you were basically dead. So what you would do is you would either run or you would try and fly circles around them. So to fix this issue, they added an actual incentive to attack Godzilla, where the person who dealt the most damage would end up getting given a medallion. It was just a fantastic idea, and it meant that unlike future or past boss systems, people would actually run towards you instead of hiding away. I actually have zero complaints about how this whole thing was handled. And of course, this season did also bring a return to form to the Winterfest event after the atrocity that was Chapter 5 Season 1's. It was really fun, it was super cozy, and while it certainly didn't beat the Chapter 2 Season 1 Winterfest, it was still phenomenal, and the amount of content that we actually got out of that thing was just as phenomenal. I just wish that Epic Games would have committed to a snow map for this event, because holy crap, Chapter 6 Season 1's map fully encased in snow genuinely would have been an all-timer. But even past all that, this season by itself was crazy good. Demon Hunters was, to this day, the only season that I've hit above level 400. That's just how much I was playing this game when this came out. Something about this season just connected with me on a personal level. It was so much fun, and it was so pretty to look at, and even though I know a lot of people didn't like the season at the time, surprisingly enough, personally, in my humble opinion, I think that this is one of the best seasons in Fortnite history. Alright everybody, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with the notification bell on. Like I said, we're so close to 1,000 subscribers, so any help would be greatly appreciated. Also, just quickly, if you want to join my official Discord server, make sure to click the link in my channel description. We have tons of cool minigames, we have an awesome community, and you can talk to me directly. But hey, at the end of the day, all you really gotta do is stay safe, drink some water, and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye!